All right, let's talk about something a lot of us have probably Googled in secret. We're diving into those at-home mole removal kits, the creams, the weird remedies, and we're asking a pretty simple question. Is this a brilliant shortcut, or is it a really, really risky gamble?
I mean, it's a tempting thought, right? You've got that one mole, maybe it bugs you when it rubs against your collar, or you just don't love the way it looks. And that little voice in your head goes, come on, there has to be a quick way I can just take care of this myself. If you've been there, trust me, you are not the only one. And look, the reasons why are completely understandable. The appeal of doing it yourself is huge. You can do it whenever you want, nobody has to know, the instructions look so simple, and let's be real, it looks way cheaper than making a doctor's appointment. But is it really that simple? Is that the whole story?
Okay, so before we even get into the how of removal, we have to pump the brakes and talk about the what. Because when it comes to moles, we're not just dealing with a little cosmetic blemish. We've got to understand what's actually on our skin first. So what even is a mole in medical terms? Well, its official name is a nevus, and it's basically just a little group hug of pigmented cells. They pop up as those small, dark spots we all know. And here's the key thing to remember. The vast, vast majority of them are totally harmless.
And people want them gone for a bunch of reasons. Sometimes it's purely about looks. Other times it's a real pain, literally, getting snagged on clothes or nicked while shaving. And sometimes it's that little bit of anxiety in the back of your mind, wondering, hey, is this thing okay? All totally valid reasons.
But here it is. This is probably the most important thing to get before you even think about touching a mole yourself. They are not all the same. And not being able to tell the difference isn't a small detail. It can be a critical mistake.
And this is the difference that matters most. On one hand, you've got your common mole. It's usually small, round, has a nice clean border, and is all one color. The risk factor, super low. But then you have the atypical mole. These guys are often bigger, the borders are kind of messy and uneven, and you might see a few different shades of brown or black in there. The cancer risk is significantly higher. And here's the kicker. Telling them apart with 100% certainty is a job for a trained professional, not for you in your bathroom mirror.
Okay, so keeping that in mind, let's wade into the wild world of DIY mole removal. What are people actually trying at home, and what are the real dangers hiding behind those promises of a quick fix? The at-home playbook usually falls into one of three camps. First, you've got the over-the-counter creams and kits that use acids or freezing agents to burn or break down the skin tissue. Then you've got the so-called natural remedies, things like garlic or apple cider vinegar. And then there's the most high-risk category of all, physical removal. We're talking about people trying to cut them off, tie them with floss, or even burn them. Just look at those risk levels. Even the stuff that sounds gentle is still firmly in the medium risk zone. And here's the fundamental design flaw in almost all of these methods. A mole is like an iceberg. You see the little dark spot on top, but the cells that make up that mole often go way down into the deeper layer of your skin, the dermis. So just treating the surface, it's not going to get the job done. And listen, this isn't just a theoretical what if. For a lot of people, the consequences are very real, very permanent, and very regrettable. So let's look at what actually happens when these DIY attempts go sideways. Meet Sarah. She used one of those popular creams you can buy online, hoping for a clean, easy removal. What she got instead was a nasty chemical burn. And the result? A permanent scar that was actually bigger and way more obvious than the mole ever was. And the worst part? Because she didn't get the whole mole, it started to grow back right in the middle of the scar tissue. Or take Michael's story. He went the natural route with apple cider vinegar. He thought it was a safe bet, but it ended up causing a pretty bad infection. The mole got angry, inflamed, and now the whole area is surrounded by discolored skin. The mole is still there, but now it has a whole new, much more noticeable problem around it. But scars and infections, as bad as they aren't the worst case scenario. The most terrifying risk is the one you can't see. And Lisa's story is just chilling. She used a DIY freezing kit on a mole that had been changing a bit. It seemed to work. The top layer came off, and she just moved on with her life. 2 years later, she was diagnosed with stage 3 melanoma. By removing the top of the mole, she'd essentially removed the warning sign. She silenced the alarm while the cancerous cells underneath were left to grow and spread, completely unchecked. Lisa's story is, well, it's a powerful and sobering reminder of what is actually at stake here. It makes a very strong case for why the professional approach is about so much more than just getting rid of a spot. See, a dermatologist has a whole toolkit, and they know which tool to use for which job.
For a simple raised mole, a quick shave excision is often perfect. For certain small, flat, harmless ones, a laser might be the way to go. But for anything that looks even slightly suspicious or is a bit larger, they'll do a surgical excision. And look at that key benefit. It allows for a biopsy. That means the tissue they remove gets sent to a lab and tested. And that right there gets to the absolute heart of it. What you're really paying for when you see a doctor isn't just the procedure itself. It's the years of training, it's the expert eye that can look at your skin and know not just how to remove something, but if it should be removed, and, most critically, if it needs to be sent for investigation.
So let's just boil this all down to the bottom line. Let's forget about the cosmetic side of things for a minute and just focus on your health. Because there are certain times when seeing a doctor about a mole is not just a good idea, it is absolutely non-negotiable.
So what are those absolute red flags? Well, to make it really easy to remember, dermatologists have created a simple little checklist that everyone should know by heart. It's the critical checklist, the ABCDEs of melanoma. You're looking for A for asymmetry, meaning one half of the mole doesn't look like the other. B for border, is it jagged or irregular? C for color, are there multiple colors or shades? D for diameter, is it bigger than a pencil eraser? And maybe the most important one, E for evolving. Is the mole changing in any way? Size, shape, color, anything. And beyond that checklist, there are other huge red flags. Any mole that starts to bleed, itch, or become painful. Any brand new mole that shows up after you're 30. And, of course, if you have a family history of skin cancer, you need to be extra careful. Any of these signs mean you should get it checked out, period. This quote from a surgeon just puts everything into perspective, doesn't it? That quick little office visit isn't just about removing an annoying spot on your skin. It's a diagnostic procedure that could literally save your life. No cream or home remedy on earth can offer that. So when you really put your options side by side, the choice becomes incredibly clear. On one side, you have something that seems cheap and easy, but it comes with a high risk of scars, infection, and, crucially, no professional diagnosis. On the other side, you have safety, you have effectiveness, you have a vital cancer screening, and maybe the most valuable thing of all, you have real peace of mind. And really, that's what it all comes down to. When you understand the true risks, everything from a permanent scar to a missed, life-threatening cancer diagnosis, you just have to ask yourself, is taking a cosmetic shortcut really worth that kind of gamble with your health?